Dennis Shanahan is the Australian's national editor. Dennis, I was shocked to hear that you were shocked by the rowdiness of Question Time on Wednesday. You've been around politics a really long time, and I know it takes a lot to surprise you. What was it about Question Time that alarmed you today?
Well, it wasn't so much the rowdiness. I've seen some pretty turbulent times. It's actually the ineptitude of the opposition. I've been covering politics at all levels, from local politics to state parliament to federal parliament, in the old Parliament House in Canberra and the new Parliament House in Canberra for more than 45 years. I've seen all sorts of levels, but I have not seen an incompetence in a parliamentary tactical sense as I've seen in the last week. The Speaker has lost patience with the opposition, and I can understand it because the questions politically have missed the whole point of trying to hold the government to account, but they're poorly worded, so the government can just rant and rave and talk about what they want to. Anthony Albanese, Jim Chalmers, Chris Bowen, they just go to town on the coalition questions. This is a diabolical situation. Alex Hawke, as leader of opposition business, obviously the main supporter of Susan Lee's leadership and the moderate group and the arrangements, has been given the job of opposition manager, but he doesn't seem to be able to control the questions, and he certainly failed on the management of the House. In the last 2 days, he set up Tim Wilson to look like a goose because he had lost track of the simple question of which question goes to which side. That was a complete failure yesterday, that is on Tuesday, of the tactics. Today, we saw it get even worse, where the Treasurer accused Susan Lee of telling egregious lies. Now, whether that is true or not, it doesn't matter. It is simply a matter of parliamentary procedure that someone should have jumped to their feet and said, this is out of order, he must withdraw. Now, Dan Tehan, frontbencher and a former assistant manager of opposition business, went to try and seek a withdrawal. He was sat down by his own side. Later, Susan Lee, at the end of the question, got up, took a point of order which was out of order. The Speaker again patiently said, okay, you can, and then she sought a withdrawal. Tony Burke just said, no, this is not the way to go. Alex Hawke then lost the plot. He got up and, trying to appear a tough man, accused the Prime Minister of being a liar, he said.
He's entitled to take his point of order now.
Yeah. No. You are hopeless. You are hopeless and a liar. Lying to the Australian people. If lying is in order, then lying is in order. This is a liar. A liar.
Now, of course, he had to withdraw that. It became a shambles. The opposition lost any impact it may have had. Susan Lee was left without a friend, and Jim Chalmers, Tony Burke and Anthony Albanese were all over the opposition. It is just a very bad selection of questions, topics, the form of the questions, and it's also an inability to deal with the tactical give and take required in Parliament. They are not helping Susan Lee as leader.
Dennis, you get to sit in the actual press gallery, a row of benches above the Speaker's chair. You must feel sometimes like jumping down there and giving them a few of the tips that you've observed over the years from the great parliamentary performers. But do you think one of the issues is that politicians, maybe when they're less experienced, confuse kind of screaming and yelling and pointing fingers? They confuse that for actual tactics?
Yes, precisely. And that's what it looked like with Alex Hawke today. Just raising your voice, throwing across names, it doesn't have an impact. I've seen some great parliamentary performers. Neville Wran, Peter Costello, Bob Hawke, Mick Young was great in the old house. These are people who can really use the parliament and use the procedures to their advantage, maybe sometimes to suppress an opposition attack, at other times to promote their own attack, or as we've seen with Tony Abbott, who was a great leader of the opposition. His 5 years as leader of the opposition, ably supported by Christopher Pyne as manager of opposition business. These were people who worked together with the leader and the parliamentary team. What we're seeing is a weak leader. She appears isolated, unable to talk to friends even, trying not to be Peter Dutton, and at the same time having a team around her who can't frame a question and can't make any impact on the government apart from raising their voice, and the Speaker, again, being very tolerant, very patient, has now just started to throw them out. And so we're at the stage where the coalition, well, it's obviously facing a huge problem, a huge majority from the government, and reduced number of questions it gets. It's very hard to build a momentum because the independents now get almost as many questions as the coalition, but they have to adapt to this and not waste the opportunities they have, or just seem to be completely losing it, losing their temper, losing their cool, and just handing question time after question time to an already dominant government.